And now we welcome Karolina Wójcicka from Poland's Dziennik Gazeta Prawna to discuss the latest developments regarding the news of some countries announcing their recognition of Palestine as an independent country. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us at TVP World.
Hi, thank you for having me. Good afternoon.
So we hear that some countries are planning to, and some have already recognized Palestine as an independent country. What are your thoughts on the impact of this news?
Well, the most important impact that the countries, Norway, Ireland, and Spain, are trying to achieve is to force or pressure Israel to agree to a ceasefire. That's another diplomatic move because it will not change the situation on the ground. I mean, it's not so easy to build a prosperous Palestinian state. So the biggest aim is to actually show Israel that the world is watching. The world treats Palestinians seriously. The world cannot accept an apartheid regime or any other sort of an unfair solution for the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Therefore, yes, I perceive it as a very important move that will probably, some other countries will follow the suit. Slovenia and Malta are being mentioned as the other countries that recognize Palestine. It's more than 140 countries that recognize Palestine globally. Of course, there's not so many Western countries among them. So the fact that it's Spain, Norway, and Ireland that recognized Palestine is a very diplomatic move, and we see that from the reactions from the Israeli government that it has some impact, some influence on the situation and the current state of the war in the Gaza Strip.
Right, I understand that many countries are frustrated with this whole situation, having to stand by and watch. But at the same time, a good point was raised that it does reward terrorism. And ultimately, if the Palestinians are recognized as an independent state, well, then the goals of the terrorists on October 7th, well, they were achieved, weren't they?
Actually, it does not reward terrorism. That's the narrative that Israel tries to show the world.
How is that?
However, I believe it was Norway. They said in a statement that Hamas is against the two-state solution. Hamas is a terrorist organization. Hamas committed horrific atrocities on October 7th, and the fact that those and that is not undergo force in Palestine stands in opposition to Hamas, non-violent political party, which even cooperates to some extent with Israeli security forces. So the move that was made by those countries is only a show of respect towards Palestinian autonomy, towards Fatah, towards Palestinian citizens, civilians, and definitely not Hamas, which is considered globally, especially in the West, as a terrorist organization, and nobody denies the atrocities committed a few months ago. So yeah, that's just not true.
But by recognizing Palestine as an independent country, an independent state, it's not actually dealing with the situation that is happening at the moment, i.e. the fact that Hamas still is the ruling power.
Yes, Hamas is the ruling power in the Gaza Strip. However, there are plans being made and discussed on the international arena, including the United States, including some European powers, for a day after the war. So the plan that is currently being discussed is that the Palestinian autonomy run by Fatah should be enforced, should be trained, should receive some support from other countries, both in the region and outside, to be able to run Gaza in the future. So actually the international stage and every country on the international does not really want Hamas to run Gaza. They are trying to find the right plan to make Fatah go into Gaza with some international support and take over the Strip and the control over civilian aspects of life in Gaza Strip, because I mentioned civilian because Israel's demand is to control the security aspects of the Gaza Strip after the war is over.
But this would imply that there would be some sort of cooperation with the Israelis. But as we heard from our correspondent, Israel has absolutely no intention of letting go and intends to implement all its military priorities and will continue with all its goals to ensure that, their plans are implemented accordingly.
Well, that's a good question. What's going to happen? As we see, the internal pressure is very limited, has a very limited impact on the Israeli government. However, I truly believe that Israel, although there are some radical extremist voices inside of Israel that call for the reoccupation of the Gaza Strip, that call for bringing the settlers back to the Gaza Strip, that actually Israel and Israeli society don't want, and the world doesn't want Israel to control Gaza Strip. So we might see some moves that will, in a few years, it's not going to happen today, it's not going to happen tomorrow, but in, let's say, a span of 10 years, we might see Palestinian autonomy ruling the Gaza Strip together with the West Bank.
It sort of seems like putting the cart in front of the horse, but in terms of, I guess, the impact of this move, what do you think will be the impact? Will it have an effect on the current humanitarian situation in Gaza? Will more countries potentially join in and recognize Palestine as an independent state?
Well, what we see currently around the world is definitely a pro-Palestinian awakening. So we might definitely see in other countries following the suit of Ireland, of Spain, and Norway. That's probably going to be Slovenia and Malta as first countries to follow the suit. But also that the impact, well, we need to wait, first of all, because there's more and more pressure being put on Israel. Just yesterday, we saw prosecutor Karim Khan of International Criminal Court. He applied for an arrest warrant for Prime Minister Netanyahu and Defense Minister Yoav Gallant. So we see some moves. But however, it's very hard to predict what's really going to happen, because Israel is still trying to control this, is pushing the offensive in Rafah. The war will probably last for a few more weeks, if not months. But maybe at least the humanitarian assistance, the humanitarian aid will be delivered to civilian population of Gaza. So impact might be limited, but in the long run, standing with Palestine and showing that, yes, the world recognizes your right to statehood, your right to self-determination, might play out well for Palestine. I just returned from Israel and Palestine, and what I saw on the ground is that the situation is very one-state solution, basically. And when I talk to Israelis and Palestinians, they say that actually, like what we talk about here in the West, that this two-state solution is the only solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, they don't see it that way. They actually think that the creation of a one democratic, secular country for both nations that would be fair for both nations is currently the only solution, because what Palestinians say is that the occupation and the settler violence is so aggressive currently that there's no way to actually go back to 1947, when the partition of the Palestinian mandatory was ordered by the United Nations to divide the land between two countries, the Jewish one and an Arab one. So maybe we should change the priorities here in the West and focus more on the one-state solution, a democratic country that might emerge in the future, and not focus only on the two-state solution, which, as I said, in Israel and Palestine is considered as an imaginary scenario that will never be implemented.
I have a feeling that this conflict will persist, and it will still elude the best intentions of humanity as it has for decades. Well, I enjoy you joining us, Karolina Wójcicka. Very important things you said. Thank you for giving your input here on TVP World. Appreciate it.
Thank you.